Greetings from the Motherland kings and queens. Imamonyana Akwaba. I welcome you all. All right, today I'm here with a brother of mine that I happened to run into him in Osu, and he came up to me. Hey, we belong in Africa. You know what I mean? So yeah, I believe your government name is Anthony
Anthony
Witherspoon.
Witherspoon. Yeah,
But we gonna scratch that.
that's right.
I'm a Kwesi, and your Ghanaian name is
It's Kofi Chini Asasia.
Glad to have you on, my
Yeah.
brother.
Okay,
All
bro.
right. Now he has somewhat of a very interesting story because you used to be the mayor
Mm-hmm.
of
Yeah.
Mississippi.
City of Magnolia, Mississippi.
Okay.
Right.
Can I ask you how long did you serve as mayor there?
So I served mayor 2 terms. Ended the term short. My last term.
Okay.
Actually, to come and move back home here to Africa. So I served 7 years as a mayor, 2 terms.
As mayor.
Yeah.
Wow. So I never had a conversation with a mayor, so it's indeed a pleasure. It's indeed a pleasure.
Thank you, bro. And
All right.
thank you for the invitation, bro.
Oh man, thank you for coming.
Yeah, when
bro.
I saw you, I was like, man, that's we belong in Africa, man.
Right,
So you
yeah.
becoming kind of like a well-known brother
Yeah,
around
yeah.
here in the
That
diaspora
was actually
community,
my
bro.
second time being in Osu, and somebody spotted me to see who I
Yeah, that's
was.
good, man. Good.
All right. So I put together about 15 questions or so that I want to ask you. You know, if you can answer to the best of your ability, you know, that's cool.
Sure.
All right. So my first question is, what inspires you to move from Mississippi to Ghana?
Really, easy answer. It was just the spirit of the ancestors, bro. Which I've always believed that the spirit of my ancestors been guiding me since I was a young kid, to be honest.
Right.
And so, and we'll get into that story of serving as mayor. You get exposed to a lot serving as mayor.
Right.
You know, you're sitting in a real important seat.
Right.
You have a lot of influence over a lot.
Right.
You over the city's budget. You know, and how it's how that budget is prioritized, how that budget is spent, you know, and utilized. You get to see a lot of interesting stuff, you know, especially when you start, you know, applying the concept that I believe in,
Right.
which is a concept of equity, which is a concept of redistribution of wealth in order to bring up to par neighborhoods that were historically disenfranchised, which was our black neighborhoods, you know,
Right.
not just in my city, all throughout American cities and stuff. And I think that when we come in to positions such as the mayor, African Americans, we have a mandate. We have it's imperative that we level the playing field.
Right.
And that type of work is not popular work, man.
Right.
When you're talking about changing the way the money flows in the city to make sure that communities that you come from and your constituents come from get their fair share of the pie.
Right.
It ain't an easy challenge, right?
As people think it is, they always say, "Oh, well, we got some brother in here." You know, the expectation is high.
Yeah. That brother got a lot to fight against to move that cheese, but
you're right.
But moving the cheese was my priority.
Okay.
You know, I wasn't gonna just be elected to office just to carry a title. You know, if you're not, my dad used to be a pastor, and he said if the devil ain't messing with you, that's because you ain't doing nothing.
I'm telling you.
You know, so to see me being referenced as a racist and to have to go fight off a federal lawsuit against a former white employee for discrimination,
right?
Just all a testament to, you know, I must be doing something right. Right. Because, like I said again, I think my father was right when he said, you know, you're not doing anything, the devil ain't messing with you.
That's
so you know, so when you're trying to do the right thing, when you're trying to uplift your people, you can expect problems coming, and not just with, you know, Pharaoh people, you know, but with your own people too. Moses, he didn't just have to fight against Pharaoh people; he had to
your own people,
go to battle with some of his own people too.
Especially your own people.
Yeah.
All right. So, what was there a specific movement or experience that solidified your decision to relocate here?
Yeah, so for me, again, the ancestor called for me to come uh, and prepare a way for my people, man, to get out of the U.S. if they have to,
Right.
was the main influence. But being Ghana specifically
Mhm.
had a lot to do with, you know, tracing my ancestry, my patrilineal ancestry, back to the Akan tribe here
Okay.
of Ghana,
Right.
and so I did the African ancestry DNA test back in 2020. After leaving Ghana in 2019, my first time in Ghana or touching the African continent was in August of 2019, and it was an NAACP sponsored trip where we brought over almost 200 people uh, to commemorate the year of return, 400
Right.
years since the transatlantic slave trade started, recording a group of enslaved Africans, their voyage from Jamestown, Accra to Jamestown, Virginia,
Okay.
you know, which was in 1619. You fast forward 400 years, like the prophecy of Abraham written in Genesis, where God told Abraham, "Know of a surety that thy seed should be in bondage and oppressed by people of foreign people, of people not of their own and not in their own land, and that people shall afflict them for 400 years," paraphrasing, and thereafter they will be brought out with great sustenance.
Right.
So from 1619, from the sale of that first recorded slave ship from Accra, Jamestown, Ghana, to Jamestown, Virginia, you fast forward, it brings you to 2019, 400 years, right?
Right. Right.
Which the then president, Nana Akufo-Addo, president of Ghana, and his administration launched a campaign called the Year of Return, saying that it's the 400-year prophecy. The 400 years is up. It's time for our people to come back home.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
we did. We came back, over 200 and something of us. The actor, renowned actor, African American actor Danny Glover was with us.
Okay.
And then during that trip, there was several chiefs when we got to Kumasi that basically was telling me that I looked like I was a Khan. And we actually had on the trip with us AfricanAncestry.com, which is a DNA tracing firm,
Absolutely.
and they do the XY chromosome test. You know, they can trace your lineage back to a specific tribe. And you know, they can check your lineage, they can trace your lineage back to a specific tribe on your patrilineal, your father's father's side, or your matrilineal, your mother's side. And they go back at least 500 years when they read the DNA track, right? And reason being 500 years to make sure they cover for the 400 plus years of transatlantic slave trade.
Right. Right.
So they can tell you exactly what tribe. They have the most extensive African database to work with out of all the companies that do DNA tracing.
Okay.
And so I found out that, yeah, got back home and did my test because I didn't take it during the trip. During the trip, we had AfricanAncestry.com that tested about 100 people 8 weeks prior to the trip. So we scheduled a grand reveal, you know, here at the slave dungeons, right, in Cape Coast, and where they would show people where they're, you know, what tribe they were connected to on their patrilineal or matrilineal side. I hadn't taken the test yet, but several chiefs here told me that they can look at me and tell me that I was a Khan.
Really? Wow.
And you know, it's kind of a hustle game. You know, some folk got some hustle.
Yeah,
I ain't knocking it, right?
All right.
You know, the naming ceremonies, you know, all this and that, right? But I told him, I said, but bro, I didn't take my test yet, so let me get back to America, you know, be able to take my test because I don't want to find out that I'm Yoruba and my name should be, you know, Diallo.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
now I'm named Kofi, right?
Understandable.
But when I got back to the U.S., took the test, man, sure enough, came back on my patrilineal side that I was 100% a con,
See?
you know. And so they know. I don't know how they know, but they can look at you and tell.
Right.
That meant a whole lot to me because that was my mission to find out exactly what tribe my people were associated, my family was associated with,
Right.
and move back and rediscover our roots. And so that brought me back to Ghana. And in 2021, they had a ceremony in Brunei in the Ashanti Kingdom.
Okay.
You know, taking me back into the family officially.
Okay.
You know, and so the elders there bestowed the name of Nana Kofi Chini Asasia on me with a role to assist the chief as sub chief in development. So I have a licensed tourism company.
Okay.
We can get into that.
Yeah. Definitely. A little later,
Yeah.
I wanna get into that.
Sure.
Sure. All right. So, did your experience as being mayor influence your views on life outside of the U.S.?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said earlier, you know, I was the second black mayor elected to our city, um, but I was the youngest mayor, period, elected to our city. And with that, you know, as you said earlier, you know, a lot of people say, well, we got a young brother in here now, you know. Some of our folks think that means that the position come with a magic wand.
Right.
And so,
It
you know,
don't.
I mean, we did our thing, you know, we did our thing, my administration, when I came in. Um, the demographic was made up. It was you got 5 city board members. You had 3 Republicans, uh, two blacks that were Democrats. So I was in the minority. The city is 70% black, you know, and so it was always part of my agenda to try to work hard to make sure that the representation of the city reflected the community.
Right.
And so my first term was rough, man. I mean, but we were able to be the first city to bring down the state flag, which was a Confederate flag
Really?
emblem in Mississippi. We did it 5 years before the state of Mississippi brought down the flag.
Okay.
It was very controversial. They questioned legally whether we could do it or not, and they found out that we could do it. And so we were the first city to bring it down by way of an ordinance, saying that it's illegal to fly the flag long as it had that Confederate flag in the city. So, you know, like I said, 5 years later, after so many cities had followed our lead and changed it, even the state universities and everything, eventually the state caught up with the rest of Mississippi and changed the flag. But it was a difficult first term. I learned a lot, and yeah, it has a lot to do with my perspective because it's like this, man. I hold a master's in public administration, and I get to that too later. I attained that later in life because my earlier years were kind of challenging. You know what I'm saying? But you know, studying government, I got to the point where I looked at the challenges that I was having, trying to, you know, impart a plan, uh, employ a plan of equity, trying to make sure that I level the playing field. All the challenges that I went through, you know, race-based challenges to get a lot of that done, it made me come to realize that we'll forever be in a fight in America, man. Because the basic definition of democracy, bro, is majority rule. And if we don't make up number 14% of the U.S. population, then that tells me that if we choose to stay there, then we just lock ourselves in to a second-class citizenship. Right? So, you know, the realities of it is that we'll never be in control as African Americans in America because we trapped inside a system that was never designed and built for us to be in control. You see what I'm saying? Simply because it's a democracy. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with democracy, but when you're sitting in a 14% minority position, you just have to accept the fact that you'll never run nothing.
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
That's basic. Basic knowledge right there. Yeah. So when we got here in 2019 with the NAACP, my question began to be, while we was at the W.E.B. Du Bois Center. I'm like, now here's one of the founders of our organization, the NAACP, right, which is the largest civil rights organization in the United States, right, who won all the different victories for us, the voting rights victories and all of this, right, segregation, if you call desegregation a victory, right, but you know, nonetheless, NAACP is the largest organization making those policy changes and stuff for Black people. And here it is, we in Accra, Ghana, we on the tours and stuff, and we stopped at W.E.B. Du Bois's house, man.
Really?
Here's the first Black PhD from Harvard, the founder of the NAACP, rubbed shoulders with congressmen, senators, governors, presidents, and even he said, you know what, the hell with this, man. This ain't working.
Right.
You know, and he let it go and moved to Ghana and spent his last years in Ghana. We sitting here in his house and at the foot of his grave site, the grave site of him and his wife. And I started thinking to myself, well, dang, man, W.E.B. Du Bois even said, you know, it ain't gonna happen in a sense, right?
Right. But a lot of people still don't get it.
Yeah, and so when we flew into the airport here, Kotoka International Airport, nice airport, you know, high technology all over them. Everybody running the airport looked like me.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
The military guards and stuff look like me. The MPs look like me. The Uber drivers, the bus drivers, the police on the street, passing by skyscrapers and stuff, man.
All the
and
billboards.
All the people, the billboards. I'm like, you know, and I said, you know what? I said, why are we over there fighting for what we already have here?
Right. Seriously though.
It seems like we've been fighting for over 400 years, man. And the freedom that we're looking for is only a plane ticket away. Yeah. So it just validated my position to be a mayor.
Right.
To see that, you know, and we did a lot with my two administrations, because my wife succeeded me in a third administration from our house, you know, because when I was the mayor, she was the state senator.
Really?
Yeah. So the years that I spent as mayor, those 7 years, she spent as a Mississippi State Senator.
Wow.
And we were tag teaming, you know, trying to get resources to our people. And we did. We paved more streets in the Black community than any other administration. We hooked up water and sewer to communities of color that hadn't had water, decent water, clean water and sewer.
Wow.
Yeah, man, we built the first playground in the city where children didn't even have a playground, you know, to come to. We attracted businesses, truck stops, like, you know, the TA centers. We didn't even have corporate restaurants. Like now there's a Denny's there, the Popeyes, you know, the Pizza Huts and McDonald's, because it was a small town.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I had to first make sure that those resources in terms of street paving, in terms of job opportunities, all of the department heads of the city pretty much were white when I first got elected. When I left there, they were all Black, except for one position, I think.
Right.
And not to say that I don't believe in diversity. I just believe that, you know, the administration should reflect the constituents that it serves. You know?
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. So this is a good question right here. How does the political environment in Ghana compare to that's in Mississippi?
No, good question. It's one I need to research, though, to be honest, because I took a sabbatical from politics, man.
Yeah.
And when I left, my whole mission was back to Africa, man. Like movement stuff, like what I need to do to get here. And I give you an example. People ask me, you know, like Spoon, what you doing over there, man? When I go home, I tell them, bro, to be honest, bro, I go to prepare a place for you so that where I am, you may be also.
Right.
You know, just like Yeshua said, in my Father's house are many mansions.
Right.
I got to educate our people on the fact, because we've been told that Africa is full of, you know, tigers and lions and
Yeah.
monkeys and stuff,
Yeah, and people
man.
still
And
in trees and
I
huts
have
and
to
all
make
kind
sure
of
that they understand. No, brothers are doing very well over here,
right.
brother. And
Yeah, a lot of them are doing
I've
way better than
seen
guys
more
in other
mansions
places.
over here occupied by black people than I've seen in the U.S.
Right,
And so
right.
and that's what Yeshua said. In my father's house are many mansions. So I have to I spend my time now trying to educate my people, and also trying to put something in the soil here, just in case my people got to get out of there and get back. That we can build a compound, a community, very similar to your brother Eric McNeil
Right.
and what he's done, and that brother doing great work, by the way,
That's it.
and just preparing a place for our people, bro.
Right.
So politically, I hadn't gotten too involved. I feel relieved. I don't have to.
Right,
See,
right.
over there, we in the minority, right? We
Yeah.
still trying to strive to get in power. Over here, my people are already in power.
Right,
I know
right.
we still got to hold each other accountable,
Right.
right? But at the end of the day, I'm not as worried about it as I was there in the U.S. because every policy in Mississippi is shrouded in racism.
Right, right.
We don't have to worry about that here. You know what I'm saying? So I can now stop having to exert so much energy in fighting, and now I can put that same energy into building.
Right.
You see
right.
what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. This question here is almost similar to the other one. How has living in Ghana shaped or changed your identity as a Black American?
It has, bro. Now I know everybody will have a different experience, but for me, I came over here again with the intent to find, my origins, and I did that through DNA, where I identified my patrilineal origins to the Akan people of Ghana. But then the second thing was I said, now I want to immerse myself into the culture so that I could reclaim everything that was stolen from
Right.
us. So, our name, our culture. I don't like to use the term religion, but our spiritual, traditional spiritual system. And so our language, our tongue, tree. So I've been studying tree, make a tree, kaka, kaka,
Yeah.
So it has made a lot of changes from what I understand now of the Akan matrilineal system, where, inheritance is passed down not through the father, but through the mother's line.
Right.
Uh, Learning about Yon Capone, Nyame, the Ottoman Coma, Asasiya, which is the spring goddess, the Ottoman Coma, and the ancestors, and how the Ottoman Coma and nature ties in with everything. It gives you a complete different perspective on life, man, once you embrace it and immerse yourself into it. So it has definitely had a change on me, so much so that God willing, my remains will be here in
Right.
African soil.
Right.
And so that goes to show you how life changing that is, because I never even dreamt that would happen. Everybody in the U.S., we got our churches and we got our family cemeteries and church cemeteries that we figured we would be born, buried in. But I don't see that now. I see that my resting days will be here on the soil, exactly where I was taken from. We are our ancestors. So that was me that was kidnapped over 400 years ago and survived that transatlantic slave trade and everything else. And so coming back home has just brought it full circle.
Right.
So now, I return to our native land where we were stolen from. I embrace our tradition and culture, and I pass that culture and tradition down to my children and build a whole new reset. It's a reset.
Right.
That's what it is. Yeah.
All right. How have you integrated into the local community?
Yeah. So first off, I have a local business partner. So I have legal resident status here, and we have a tourism company, backtoafrica.net.
Okay.
And my partner is a Ghanaian-born partner, Prince Ajaman Prempe. He's from Kumasi.
Okay.
And we do tours here. So that's one way I've immersed myself in business here by investing in business. Prior to that, I was in Tanzania for 2 years, and we invested there in business in a preschool. But there are more business investments we want to make here, not just for myself, but for diasporans and for uh, uh, Ghanaians born here,
Right.
Africans born on the continent. Want to launch a call center that will complement my insurance company in the state by doing lead generation. I also have a trucking company in the U.S. And so with that call center, we also want to start doing freight dispatching services. And so that opens up other opportunities for young Ghanaians who say, well, we don't have a lot of opportunity here on the continent.
Right.
I want to make sure they understand that I always try to teach in my classes, like with the advent of the internet, distance is zero.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? We should be able to, through our cell phones, through an online connection and a laptop, be able to conduct business in different markets across the world. And so that's the perspective that I want to bring. I want to actually activate that with the call center so that I can show them that it can be done. And there's other things that skills that can be developed for diasporans and Africans on the continent that I plan on teaching, and that's like day trading skills, forex trading skills, stock trading skills.
Okay.
Is to also give them other, make them think out of the box, give them other opportunities to make income.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. How do you think your experience as a mayor prepared you for living and potentially serving as serving here in Ghana?
Yeah. So one of the things that I've always, as a mayor, I never separated myself from the people and the people's struggle. I realized that the people elected me into leadership, but I always recognized that their struggle was my struggle.
Right.
And right here today, even coming into Accra, I tell people all the time, never, look down on nobody because of their circumstances unless you're looking down so you can extend a hand to help them up. It could be them today and you tomorrow. So I realize that, even though I may be being blessed here now, you know, I'm prepared to know that I love the hustle of the Ghanaian people. They don't go put a gun in your face because they have a hard time. They go get a fruit basket, bro, and throw it on their head and start hawking fruit and vegetables and water, And so I'm saying all that to say that as a mayor, I led my people realizing that I was of the people and that whatever I'm helping them with, it was our struggle, not their struggle.
Right.
And so I see it even here. Whatever we're working on here as African people, whatever struggles we're trying to fight, I don't see it as a hierarchy thing, like, oh, I'm coming from the, because I've seen it happen. I've seen brothers from the U.S. and sisters come from the U.S. with the attitude that, we're from the U.S., chest stuck out, and let me show you the best way to do this.
Right.
No. We learn from each other, and that's the perspective I got, and we share the challenges. I've learned a lot from Ghanaians and from African people abroad, man, and I appreciate it. And vice versa, I'm sure they've learned some things from me. We're in it together.
True. All right. Do you think more African Americans should consider relocating to Africa? Why should they, and why should they not?
I know your question was do I think more African Americans should consider moving here?
Mm.
And my answer to is I think all African Americans should consider it.
Right.
I'm not saying that or knocking anybody that's African American who wants and choose to live in the states. Uh, I I I respect everybody's right to choose and everything. But now, given the situation in the states up under new leadership with another Trump administration, knowing the stakes are high, in my opinion, in the United States right now, and the racial um, instability right now is at some dangerous levels, right?
All right.
And so, and I ain't talking about just on, some people like to say we might be on the verge of civil war. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't like to, and I pray for the best of my people who choose to stay there.
Right.
Right. I'm willing to even help them continue in that fight that they have there. But like I said earlier, it is what it is. It's a democracy, majority rule. If you decide to stay there, you decide to be a second-class citizen. Right. So it's just an option that I choose, not for me, my family, and my children. So I think all African Americans should have a plan B,
Right.
considering that, and
Right.
and that plan B for them, I hope they would consider it, would be coming back to Africa, which was my plan A.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But I ain't knocking for nobody, but I think it should at least be their plan B.
Right.
That's kind of.
Okay. Cool. What do you miss most about Mississippi or the U.S. period?
Family, man.
Yeah.
Family. I wish I could get them all to get here.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that I miss more than anything. Being away from my wife and children, my brothers, my sisters, cousins and friends and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I could get on a plane and go visit them, and they could do the same thing.
All right.
But right now, I think in order for us to turn things around as a people, we need to come back home, bro. The 400 years is up. If you believe in the prophecy, if you're Christian, it's in your Bible.
Right.
If you believe in the prophecy of Abraham, the 400 years are up. People, is up. Time to come home,
Come on back.
and let's build Mother Africa together. As a brother that I know always say, we belong in Africa.
We definitely belong in Africa.
Yeah.
Remember that. All right. Well, you just almost answered that one. This is my next question, so I'll skip over that one. My last question: what advice would you give to someone considering moving to Ghana or any place here in Africa in general?
Yeah. So the best advice I think I can give is drop your preconceived notions about Africa. If you've never been, don't come over here with no preconceived notions about Africa because the media, Western media, has very so much lied to us about Africa. They show us what they want you to see in Western media. And the other thing is, don't come over here expecting the U.S. and Africa.
Right.
I see that happens quite a bit. Sometimes when I have folks that come and talk to me that has come over, and there are going to be some inconveniences. Yeah, if you've been living in the U.S. all your life. But remember, you're dealing with the U.S., a country that's 300 years old compared to all African countries not being no more than 60 years old with independence. How can you expect them to have everything that the people who exploited them, for 400 years have? Know that the reason you have so much in Europe and in the U.S. is because of the exploitation of Africa. Right. And so, but with that being said, you see the revolution that's happening on the grounds here. Since you're living here, young people are challenging the old system for change. the young people believe that Africa should be run by Africans, and young brothers like President Captain Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso are showing us how to get it done, you know. And so I believe that that movement is going to be successful because it's a godly movement, you know, and Africa will soon regain its place in the sun and be the leader of the world economy and actually just the world order.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's coming.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Now, earlier you mentioned, I'm not sure if you want to talk about it in this segment or not, but earlier you mentioned how you got into some trouble, I believe, before you became mayor.
Oh yeah,
Are you,
yeah. I used to stay in trouble before I became mayor.
are you okay with kind of giving us a
Absolutely,
small...
man. That's part of my testimony, man. I tell it everywhere I go. You just decide whether you want it to be this interview or the next interview. But
Right.
yeah, I can tell you that God is good, man.
I tell you what, I'm going to make you guys come back and see this video. So stay tuned to hear what type of trouble he was in before he became mayor. All right, we belong in Africa.
Peace.